Oh, yeah, later on. Unless we start off, there'll be no arrival. Jumbo, Jumden, Jeba, Jumba, Yanda, Barzobe, Sange, Riba, Shasu, Deba, Deva, Shiva, Jide, Jemba, Gibu, Tuba, Kalu, Juba, Lana, Neba, Hada, Minage, Deba, Sange, Jumden, Debe, Gewa, Shaja, Tuba, Shasu. Jadu, Jadu, Jehu, Tuba, Jumden, Debe, Sheba, Rajumba, Yanda, Barzobe, Sange, Riba, Shasu, Devara Sheba, Dide, Jemba, Diu, Dube, Kalu, Juba, Lana, Meba, Hada, Menani, Demo, Sange, Jumden, Debe, Gewa, Shaja, Tuba, La, Chasu, Jadu, Jadu, Jehu, Demo, Jumden, Debe, Sheba, Rajumba, Yanda, Barzobe, Sange, Riba, Shasu, Devara Jide Jemba Jewo Duve Kalo Juba Lana Meba Lada Mena Je Jemba Sanje Jumde Debe Jewo Shaja Kuba La Cha Chodo Jalo Jewo Ukanze Gani Zowo Jedan Den Saje Telo Kuba Debo Ngane Jide Dena Choje Zo Deze Jebo Chola Cha Nanda Boa Jodu Zotawa Ishe Jazo Sedilebo Taba Jide Zona Lamewa Gombo Juni Jela Cha Senjo Deba Time Dave Sha Senbo Tawa Jela Cha Dede Jela Seba Suna Ji Nyame Jini Jela Cha Zebo Kuji Jende Tamje Jebe Demo Sona Yedin Jaso Je Deshin Shela Cha Tabe Deja Tewa Juru Kewe Nyeso Lebu Chido Deda Juju Ba Shiju Jela Cha Rode Trove Laya De Laba Dala Radu Shinje Damba Mede De Gindu Laya Cha Ba Jiyang Meja Yewa Puzumo Soba Ya Rage Zene Yoru Tele Sanje Ravim Bena Yuma Sera Manamalo Deda Bodhi Jena Deda Dasana Diye Damje Seva Govadone Jeje Rabude Garanda Chive Lapude Sive Solim Rovan To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, infinitely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, nor of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shagya clan, the prostrate, make offerings and go for refuge. When the supreme among humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise, then I prostrate. Wisdom, all bodies form supremely pure. Wisdom ocean like a golden mountain. Fame that blazes in the 3 worlds. Winner of the blessed Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like the spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. You are immaculate, 3 worlds are not. Incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you, the one gone to thusness, I prostrate. The purity which makes one free from attachment, the virtue which frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to that dharma which pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path of liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions, subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A flicker of mirage, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. He conditioned things as such. Through these merits, may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the flow of faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by winds of aging, sickness, and death. Rigebu Ganala Sherge Baru Jempa Zama Chepo Chupa Duba de Ita Labaraja, the Gate Nebana, Jews and Semba Chembo, Baba Chile, they want to get set on them, but Sharada, the Bogati, Gemeso, Rigebu Ganala Sherge Baru Jempa Zama Chepo Chupa Duba de Ita number tower Jate, Kumbo, the Dalaya. Ranking Tomba number Yanda para Jesus Tao, Tomba, Tomba ni Zuto, Zula Tomba ni Hemayen, Tomba ni Lejan, Hemayen, Otation, Sorwada, Dijitan, number Shebana, Tomba, Cherry, who they are certain Tomba ni de, Sinimeba, Mageva, Magava, Chimameba, Chimadan, Chiwameba, Tomameba, Cherry, who they are winner. Tomba nila sume, forwame, dishime, dijiname, namashibame, dime, nawame, name, chime, lume, yime, zume, jame, chime, rome, rejame, chumedo, vijay kame, mebane, yigi kame, yigi, nambara shebe, kangi, bardu, yamedo, mariba me, mariba, seba mebane, gashime, gashi sebe, bardu, yamedo, dijindu, dunga wada, kunjung wada, gobadan, lame, yishime, Obame, Madoba, Yamedo, Sharibu, the Dawana, Chanju Sembana, Toba, maybe children, Sherabi, Baru de Jimba, Latin, Nede, Semba, Tiba, Meji, Trapa, Mede, Chiji, Lole, Shindu, Dene, Yang and Lede, Tar, Chindu, the Zunda, number of Sange, Danjiga, Sherabi, Baru de Jimba, Latine, Lana, Meba, Yanda, Barizobe, Janju, Domo, Barizobe, San, Yesu, the Shirabi Baru de Chimbenga, Riba Chimbenga, Lana Mebenga, Minyambada Nyambenga, Dumya Tamsi Rabi Shivara Chimbenga, Mindubena, Demba Sheba Jate, Shirabi Baru de Chimbenga, Mebataya, Gate, Pada, Gate, Parasangate, Bodhisattva, Sharibu, Chanju, Semba, Chimbu, the Shirabi Baru de Chimbo, Samola, Labar Chao, Dene, Chomdin, Tingas, and Dele, Chanju, Semba, Chimbo, Baba Chile, Wanjula, Lego, Chitawa, Lezo, Rigi, Wu, Dedeshin, and Chita, Gugi, Temba, Shigu, Shiragi, Baru, Jimbo, Samola, Chebar, Chate, Deshin, Sheba, Namjan, Jesu, Yirango, Negi, Cheka, Senex, and Demba, Sharada, De, Putan, Chanju, Semba, Jimbo, Baba Chile, Wanjutan. Dembe pura de dan hadan nidan lama yedan jiza chebe jidin yiran de chomden de ye sumba lomon Page 11. Thus I have heard, once the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajgriha and vultures peak, together with a great assembly of monks and Bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One was totally absorbed in the concentration that examines all phenomena, called profound illumination. And at the same time, the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, was engaged in the profound practice of the wisdom gone beyond, analyzing the five aggregates by nature empty. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra spoke to the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, saying, how should those of good family learn, who wish to follow the profound practice of the wisdom gone beyond? Thus he spoke, and the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, replied to the Venerable Shariputra, saying, O Shariputra, whatever son or daughter of good family wishes to follow the profound practice of the wisdom gone beyond, should look at it like this, analyzing the five aggregates by nature empty. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is no other than form, form is no other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, recognition, karmic formations, and consciousness are all empty. Therefore, Shariputra, all phenomena are empty without characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are neither impure nor free from impurity. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no recognition, no karmic formations, no consciousness. There is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. There are no spheres of the mind up to no spheres of the mind. There are none of these all the way up to the sphere of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance, nor is there destruction of ignorance. There are none of these all the way up to there is no old age and death, nor is there destruction of old age and death. Thus there is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cessation of suffering, and no path. There is no wisdom, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because there is no attainment, all Bodhisattvas hold to the wisdom gone beyond, and because there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. Passing utterly beyond falsity, they reach beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in three times, by relying on the wisdom gone beyond, fully included in the way of suffering. Therefore, the mantra of the wisdom gone beyond, the mantra of great insight, the unequaled and unsurpassed mantra, the mantra that calms all suffering, should be known as the truth, for there is no deception. The mantra of the wisdom gone beyond is proclaimed. Tayata, Gati, Gati, Paragati, Bhagasamgati, Bodhisattva. O Shariputra, this is how a Bodhisattva Mahasattva should learn the profound wisdom gone beyond. Then the Blessed One arose from that concentration and praised the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, saying, very good, O son of good family. It is exactly like that. The profound wisdom gone beyond should be practiced exactly as you have said, and then the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Shariputra, the noble Avalokiteshvara, the whole gathering, and the world with its gods, men, anti-gods, and spirits, their hearts full of joy, praise the words of the Blessed One. So ends the noble discourse on the essence of the wisdom gone beyond.
자주 semla jibu modu juba 되게 된 남들이지 같은 자주 semba 로 심바 저기 아니 토비야 아니 지부 그 토비야 지도라 자주 semba 로 심바 난 말아도 단다 로버 주와 로버 주와 난 말아도 게 오마 랍 차죠 자주 semba 때 자주 오마 산제 고바 톱 심베게 하나도 자주 semba 랍 칸데스라도 자주 sem 칸데스게도 어디게 빼라체 되게 되는 퇴바체 다들 잠주선 말랍 심어도 좀 랍니다 가르치고 토리아 간지 톱사래 당 안아서 간데스 랍 보사래 아니 어디 내기다 심바티데 시야 되라 아니 되게 르바텔 랍야 되라 쳬바 랍바스 되래서
Now we are Thursday's evening class on the way of the Bodhisattva. The way of the Bodhisattva is concerned with a way, a charya, a mode of behavior. What is that mode of behavior? We first would have to identify and understand it. It is that mode, that charya, that culminates in the achievement of Buddhahood. All those Bodhisattvas who have achieved full awakening did so through the cause that results in full awakening, that is, by developing the mind of awakening bodhicitta. And these accounts of the Buddhas of the past are our illustrative accounts. And there are the Bodhisattvas too, who are currently in their training, and they will achieve the awakened state. And we, for our part, are on the cusp, about to enter the training. So how is it that those of the past who have achieved awakening and those who are engaged in the trainings of the Bodhisattva are engaged? What may those who are training presently expect as their achievement? And so when we consider these concerns, what can be expected? What is happening during the charya of the Bodhisattvas presently? What will they achieve? These are concerns of the training, the way of the Bodhisattva.
산제도 아니 저벌 중에 탈진 말. 산주 선바도 저벌 중에 럽신 말. 당랑도 저벌 럽을 주어야 해서.
The Buddhas have achieved awakening. The Bodhisattvas are presently engaged in the charya to achieve awakening, and we are engaged in entering the way.
소단 대인도 아니 제 오마로 이 가담벌 로변저 가르친 거였나? 먼저 때문에 남들 진주 뒤지 냠렌스 어제서 먼저 상계다 전주선부터 저기 전주선 줄을 깨봐도 깨는 제부 터봐도 아니 저거 남나 칸데스 러브 유메 이게 되고 저거 암 로규지 하는 게 딜라 패턴에 말아서 티나시 주고 요서 진주 뒤지 냠렌스 거래서
The Kadamba adepts of the past have said the biographical accounts of the masters who have achieved awakening, the Buddhas. These are the liberation stories that are, when listened to by the disciple, the disciples practice.
세상 인도 딱 프랑스고 랍죠 오만 랍사죠 람대단 다당한도 럽을 주에 람니보데 람카가 요레스는 람카가 요 말을 랍에 자주선 집어지게 해서
Now, is this path completed by the Buddhas different from the one that we are soon to enter? The answer is no, they aren't different.
대나시 랍이야게 루데 프랑스고 오만 루데디 야가진 가서 루데 쪼어도 되죠. 대야 말을 루데 대야 프랑스 밀루토 밀루 때는 남들랑 아니 저부터 말했어. 말한도에 밀루티 때는 럽고래 말도 밀루티 파 더네 다야 요 랍이야 그거 신바 요르스는 이요 말해서 랍이야 밀루티 버지야 해서
Likewise, is the body upon which the Buddhas of the past achieved the awakened state different from ours, superior to ours? Is ours inferior to theirs? Is the precious human body different in these cases? No, they are not different. They are the same precious human body. It isn't another body, a different body from ours.
내 튕겨만도 상하여스. 마도 수도 맞지를 마도 튕겨 찾아 하나도 튕겨인데 여마 오마 산제 좀 되들 산제에 남달나 때문에 튕겨만도 나지 좀 보시는 튕겨 여러 여마를 바도 단달 럽시버기 자제 선주선발 럽시버기 전주선발로 튕겨 돼가지고 여러 튕겨 돼가지고 여마를 하나도 뭔가 튕겨 할래 교보 이나양 내랑게 배다다 준주기 냠내체 아니라도 하나도 전주선 게 아니 거하다 다르게 나갈 랩되어 해서면서
In fact, the conditions present for us are better than those of the past. The past Buddhas did not have such supportive conditions as those we presently have. And those Bodhisattvas engaged in their training presently too, their conditions have not been as excellent as ours. Nevertheless, they developed the mind of awakening and consummated the 6 paramitas and achieved the awakened state.
그다음 뭐만 모두 뱀비도 남다른 냠바이나 아니 담볼게 게 말아왜 가능해요. 기겐게 라마 최 마송을 가능해요. 최 송나야 배 시우지 배다 같이 망부터는 송을 누기요. 나한테 별을 별고 뭐만 뺀다 개버도 달라. 야가는 배 다와 망부까지 견도 공부하는 시 아니 세랑게 배 당보 알리 자갈 줘야지도 아니 세트 무지도 자직지 배 알레 당보 미세 차가도 세르무 두배 다리지 아니 자갈 치 신의 최 밴디다 때 아니 두도 때 아니 최슈 아니 소용 냠내지 다 유진도 거나 아니 다 맞아 그 선반을 마셔요 그래서 The
pundits, the siddhas of the past faced these hardships. First, they couldn't find their teacher. Then when they found a teacher, the teacher didn't teach them. And then when the teacher began to teach, nevertheless, the teachings entailed tremendous hardship. And then in the tales from Tibet, those Tibetans who would study with pundits and the other scholars endeavored to do so for months, spending half of their lives in preparation for the journey to India, saving up gold and silver for the trip to India. Half their life would be spent in this, and then they would arrive in India, meet with the Siddha and the Pandit and all the difficulty that entailed, and then returned. And the hardships that they faced are truly for us incomprehensible. This is exemplary of exchanging one's life for the Dharma. We cannot do this. We do not make the exchange of our valuable life for the Dharma. We have all the conditions to do so. We have all the time to do so, but we do not do so. So this is just to expose you to the reality that the conditions for us are every bit present. In the Dharma, the study of it, the contemplation of it, and the meditation upon it, should one do it, would one expect a benefit? You might think not, but I tell you, go to a hospital, go to a retirement home, and take a look at what you find there, and think to yourself, if these people could train in the Dharma, would it benefit them? I have the intense feeling that it would. I've been to many hospitals, been to many nursing homes. I see that should these people be able to practice the Dharma, it would be a benefit. This is my strong feeling. Those who find themselves in the retirement homes are living long lives, and they're well late into life. And if they were knowledgeable regarding how to meditate, how to direct their thoughts, they would use that time, and no time would be wasted. And all of their activities of body, speech, and mind could be directed away from the klesha. This would be a time for practice. It would mean for them that the life they had lived would be less cause for sorrow, less a painful preoccupation. It would be for them a moment, an opportunity. Now, when we turn our attention to the way of the Bodhisattva, it is not in order to secure some reward in this life, a reward of contentment in this life. The purpose is necessarily fortunes in our future, and ultimately the highest good of all. Towards this end, we direct our studies, our contemplation, and our meditations. When our studies, contemplations, and meditations are not so directed, this is not the dharma of the way of the Bodhisattva.
즉 가르치는 데서나 새 비기스나 쉬우지 드드드드 캡산 춘주 비기 춘주지레스 새 치마스라나 할래요 드드 로망보 드드 림보 비기 침보 어디게 들다 삼모 단계 어쩌다 군이 최 제고야기 해변에 캡산 침보도 고고 여러 마도 캡산 춘주도 말해서
The reason is this life is a short span of time. Any profits found in this life will be minimal. Any satisfactions negligible. Next lifetimes and lifetimes to come again are interminable in length. The contentment, the bliss that they might entail is tremendous. This would occupy you so that you recognize that you make the exchange toward the greatest benefits.
뭐야 모두 최게 많으니 최로 동남면이 지뭐이네 제 로자이 기부고 로 붐지 기부고 스콜 담거트야이나 그 로지 붐지 기부고 다음에 이거로 와 대나신 안한서 두지 튼두기 캡산디 삼방교요 말았어 그 치마스 남나타 로 장가지 아마 되게 되는데 이게 디기리 개침부 차대요. 이렇게 뭐시행을 해서
Tadi ani bumchik karisani agor bumchik yamen lo bumchik lo mise ra ringtung ra
로 야링의 기부지 요새
lasa ala
로 붐지 기부 요새 담가
la
체계여나 그 로지 붐지 요 기부 요한테 가서 담겨 왔어.
la
세상 대인도 가르친 걸 유링을 대화도 구슬려는 그걸 왔어. 그거 얘는 아니 가서 세치마스 남들 로 담가 깨마 되게 되기로 세상 이 남투어 치고를 해서
any reasonable person chooses the greater satisfaction. Present a person with an alternative. You have 1 year's satisfaction ahead of you, or you can choose 100,000 years of contentment. Any person would choose 100,000 years of contentment. And this life is short compared to the lives to come. We would be wise to select that which ensures contentment over the longer time span, that is, our many lifetimes to come.
제가 땅거 만나러 토네 삼로스 땅거로 책시 땡거로 왔어. 그래서 비비드만 땅아도 준주년 거야지 수수수수라다 자와요를 샤자요. 제가 수 내가 수수 두고로 왔잖아. 수수 내가 두에치도다 이치도 니 삼배 삼로 꿀롱들이 쥐어두고 거래서
We need to be able to think in these unmistaken terms, don't we? And if we did, we would do so because we have self-concern, sympathy for our own plight, and our aspiration is to achieve contentment. And so we would direct our own attitude now toward securing for ourselves that lasting contentment.
예, 다들래. 제가 다 이제 가진 것도 주주다. 다 가진 것만 가도 그냥 오면은 가르치어서는 다 대조성에 대해 하장에 까와 삼네. 아니 바유가 치고래. 바유를 넣고래. 바유는 말았나? 아니 대조디 배 톱가와레스 어디서 sabji 디토나는 대시슈요래서.
Where did we arrive last week? At the recollection of the difficulty of achieving a precious human rebirth. When the recognition is had that it is indeed a difficult achievement, then one understands that one must utilize it by applying conscientiousness to what one does. And if one doesn't do so, then securing such a human rebirth ever again is sure to be difficult. This is the section where we find ourselves again.
예, 다 드린 것도 시에 고야도 가리요래서는 다 엔조디 말하는 니에데 엔조디 달려가지고 배주지 땅 마투버체는 초라도 침바이나 아니 양조라인 엔조디 또 가장 톱가와래 톱그 말에 마토바이나 아니 같이 그래서 뭔가 손을 마동 누구래 아니 손을 같이 동사는 아니 손에 하장 타락하고 하장 타르생에 답에 미시부터 오지 가는 여러 제단 텐데인데 당내 손을 마타래 탑 간데 제고도 어떤 비가는 것도 드리는 게 냠내다 조링다 제시 야고를 해서
What we would discuss now then is in this human rebirth we have achieved? Should we waste it, not utilize it? Understand we will face more hardship in regaining such a precious human rebirth. In fact, all the more likely is to tumble into the lower realms, into hell, from which liberation is nigh impossible. Liberation is exceedingly difficult. It works just as well to say it is impossible. And so then, what means do we have that we won't fall into a hell realm? This is where we find ourselves. This is what we would discuss. Now, an ordinary person might think, perhaps I will fail to practice, though I have achieved this human rebirth, but having lost the human rebirth, I will likely regain it again and can put it to use then. Didn't double and go with
somebody you thing you become Tandu when solo matter search again. I am also to get a chinya, and you are the Miluto and you Miluto Gurua. I got searching Maria and you top Chogurua, Milu, Karim Martin and Sani, and you're going to top Chogurua some. They take somewhere.
So we think to ourselves, I've achieved a human rebirth. And I'm not able to make the most of it this time around, but I might well secure a precious human rebirth again. And at that time, I will certainly practice. And then in addition to this misguided thought, one may think, well, perhaps I'll tumble into a hellish experience that agony there, and then regain my opportunity of a precious human birth.
Oh, yes, Solomon, Rangi Deva Union draw Mares, Brown Mabas in Chimbares, Brown draw some Devachina, as on the windows of Gauch in the Drone, and it's Rangi with Deva Union Drati, Sukan Yomares, and Ram Mabas in lead and you move on the drawer was. Chetan the do that cho chicken lead and you move on call them and Yason Makeva Yidu, and Yanjo gone and lesa, you move. Jula K lesa, Nimujula K, Yuba Yinza, and top quality Taragi. Top Shiraka, which had your essence.
But this is implausible. Implausible is any person voluntarily, with full freedom and happily, taking a rebirth in hell. What happens instead is one involuntarily finds oneself in hell. And there again, all over again, one begins that process of accumulating the karmas under the influence of the klesha. This process again underway such that liberation from hell is nigh impossible.
Oh, yeah, under Ram member, the new only grow Hindu, and a huge connect that Tarkas and the Shirakala Kawin by Jinzi. Nibatilla, Tandek Samlo Tandan Tigi, and Taling Mizitola Tan, Tandek Samlo de Tanzing Lola, Pechamachi Chogre da Sambata, 아니 지금 단다 민도대 주주 제를 지치고 있어야 잡았다. 내가 세치마 야고랜 지기 삼아도 로 친지로 상아들로 배출 제로 바지 진행이 딱 싸워도 뒤차대요. 그래서
니버데
이거도
담보데 야랑 메바 마르slung 네드네 용몽단 레기 원지로
이모도 어디다 놓을래. 이번에 사기로와.
이제
이거 단당 가로 삼로 땅한디. 어디 로 삼로 코로바디. 로 친지로 그래. 가르스는 내 제일 지기 마 제일 지초 그래. 정말 제마시 전에 야고전에 지기 세저와. 우리 고급디 라야 장스 가보레스. 일단 되게 로드 배년가 사오레스.
유던 유진이 기버든
어디래 해봐요.
objectively, involuntarily, by the force of klesha and karmas, one is born into hell. From the standpoint of a thought process, two, one conceives of phenomena as being permanent and imagines that there is a next time that can be put to use. This thought process is the primary obstacle to comprehension of one's plight.
오야 다들 모델도 되게 다들 근데 지삼도 당다 모델도 지체 다들네 배제나로 받자는 셰바이나 다 배제나라 다들 이제 임바들 롱다리 배권 아니 이지고는 지시 경고여래서
That's a rough exposure to this topic. Now, when we turn again to the verses themselves, we look to support that is scriptural and support that is logical.
오야 다 뭐 대전예가 인생 루미고는 두바도 발레스레스 나다สิ่งที่เขาเป็นที่안기 가져도 맞을까 안기 가도 이제 이니 채나 좀 내지 세요 이니 이니 채나
알아요.
이니 채나 좀 내지 아니 자주 냥신 야쇼 자 치린 냥신기 보가 루베 진슈다 미니 신도 토바가스에 미니 신도 토가 송 세도아 다들 콩도서 롱디 시기 와래서
Now in verse 20 on page 56, this is why Lord Buddha has declared that like a turtle that perchance can place its head within a yoke adrift upon the mighty sea, this human birth is difficult to find. This is scriptural support provided.
야, 다들 지금 죄송아. sabjidi tenda kanje tenjol nye kawe gyusen sheba gyusen de la lung da riba ni che ta lung di ta de che ta tian ka ngen song du jene den du top sing de misi ba chres sta misi ba res na ta yan si ba kong lai tang chogoro ine ta 하장 가 res di yiba de chom de ge yang da be lung na song wa res ta odi chi chong go res.
Okay, in the verse scriptural support is provided. It is to say, it is nearly impossible to secure a fortunate rebirth from a hell realm. Impossible? Would you ask, is it entirely impossible? There's just the slightest possibility. And so it is said.
Yeah, that's the young that Luna, Sondan, and Songa, 방법이 디니치는 좀 되지서 좀 되셔야 될 거기 있어. 자주 체리인 양신 기사 생기버도 어디가 간데서나 지금 간데서 롱term만 간데스된 요래서나 아니 개론다. 사침부터 자주 침부 주진스 아마도 살아 잡을는데 파동의 배차 제만 추기 자주로 차 자주 침부 차 아니 대가가 양신 생기 양신 그거 집어서 오고 여버지 지 여버체 와 그래서 우리가 집어서 아니 내가 가려서 아니 소리 나나 루베치 루베 아니 루베 되기 아니 로갸 갸라 취드 카메라야 등구 여버세 그래서 다 되네 로갸 갸라 등구 여버이나 아니 양신기 부가디다 루베기 고디 디나래 주투야 주세 아니 가져 요래스 어디 말 그런들 마송을 해서
in this section, the reason why the leisures and endowments are difficult to attain, there is a scriptural evidence and the logical evidence. Here in the scriptural evidence, the Buddha Bhagavan, the Buddha Shakyamuni spoke to the monks. Oh monks, this is following the second line. Like that turtle, that turtle, that should this world become a sea, the entire surface of the planet, a sea, and in that sea there is a turtle, and that turtle surfaces only once every 100 years. And on the surface of that vast sea, there is one yoke. The chance, the time, the moment that turtle would surface and by chance thread the hole in that yoke, so is the uncommon or the unlikelihood of the precious human life.
Oh, yeah, that is not it. That's a great thing. In the nation, check when you go to bed, me time, me long in budget. Oh, Jazuna Pugati, you nation the any Lungiyama to Skyogo, that Shannon Lungia, Nuluki, Nulungi, Shalaki, Shannon Lung Passport, the girl, the little need in this day. Indeed, Brody Yanshin Puga, such a Buddhist, you know, Yanshin Puga, the Yama Brody Nichis. You got to remember Long Digi, and Yanshin Pugana, Yanshin Puga, the own the Teba. That's cigarettes to a Danas. And that Sugang the Tigris love to Marwas. That tastes cigarettes, not taste cigarettes. Cigarettes, not lent to Marwas or the rich person or restaurant.
Furthermore, the turtle that surfaces once every 100 years is a blind turtle, and the yoke on the surface of the sea is tossed by tempestuous waves from east to west, north to south, always moving. And so on that vast sea, with one yoke there on the surface and a blind turtle only surfacing every 100 years, is it possible that the turtle will surface and thread that single yoke's hole? A person would say it's not impossible, but to say it is possible is not to answer, for truly it is nigh impossible.
Oh, she's that better can they Jawas not Jazu Chumbu D? Mazu Quag Jazu Chumbu, what check. Quag Jazu Chumbu. Yanshin Pugadi, that's around those church, Sanjay, them, but Juju the Jet, the rest. And Rubert wanted that so this. That is some talent, ever the Anjo Yanjo, talent that can one respect your mama. She was some book in Cheval and telling on the Cheval. Yina Mamba, the Anjo in the cigarettes, na Lentegumares, cigarettes, not that cigarette la Pugumara, what it is on your response.
This is the simile then. In the simile, the ocean is cyclic existence, and the yoke is meeting with the way of the Bodhisattva, and the turtle is each ourselves. And by the inconceivable kindness of conditions accumulated in past lives, we have met with this nearly inconceivable moment. If you ask, will it come again? The answer would be very unlikely. Will it not come again? That hardly answers the questions, for it is nigh impossible.
Oh, that's a little that, very enough. The Yanshin Pugodi, and they check our enough, that did check our land to good men. And in other Yansonia. They wrote about the Mulutoba Singedi and Telejang and Kawares. The Santa Lentevia Yomares was on.
Now, if it is so difficult to imagine liberation from hell, how much more inconceivable it is to imagine any greater fortune, such as a fortunate rebirth as a human being, when liberation from hell is all but impossible. All the more so, it is just about impossible, the achievement of a human rebirth.
Oh yeah, that's it. That long digi, petty that digi kinita, Yamen Chidam, that Talenga, the Mizidicam to Kiona, Tama Talenga around the Mizidi, Kale Mambo Shiuji Jam, Yumamu Sa, but Kale Jam the Talenga do Tobare, Talen Tobati, on the Pejutama to Tola Joina, Yang Yo Tobia Singedi, that 님 배전하면 님의 까먹었어요. 님은 샤도 까먹 통마로 빛나셔야 돼서 거래서.
This is the support of scripture. And its meaning, if it were brought to life in our practice, would be to make plain to us how much of an effort ever achieving a precious human rebirth was, all the innumerable causes that it requires, and now with this labor and these causes, conditions sufficient to have achieved the near impossible, if the human rebirth and its opportunity were squandered, is there any likely event that we'll achieve such an opportunity again? And what we say of such an event is that it's as rare as seeing a star shining in the sky that's filled by the sun.
오, 진짜로 세상다리 좀 내디기 롱기 토네 말 롱기 송백이 된다데 제시디 이노스 된지 잡아라다 이 수준 냠는 수잘 셴버 채우래서.
Now this is the substantial, meaningful scriptural support, and to bring it to life in your practice requires your comprehension.
오, 야다 단다도도 다 단행아랑도 튕긴 손봐. 다 수수기 맞이나 다 맞이와랑도 수술 간다를 봉굴렀다 내가 챙기를 만도 봉굴러 취해서는 봉고기 취해 년신기 말을 원래 년이 돈 남주 시럽 요 말했다. 나랑서 수수 맞이발 만도 남주기 시럽 요래. 수술로 취해도 취해 많이 봐. 예 치투가 남주 시럽에 요래. 취해 지난 제투야 그 튕긴 대야 상대요. 어야 취해기 산지기 때문에 지린도 내버 대야 다들 주주들이 취해 시전이 이게 요버 대야 주주들이 다 대주 된지직 나도 폴라친 바이나 아니 다 방법을 해 말해서 정말한도 배다 총도 제도 떨러버려도 고급상 지 쇼스나 당가지고 배에 고급 쇼스 배가 배사서 샌드위치로 와서 그 샌드위치 그 단다 취지지가는 쇼와래 다른 멜로디 대주 당마도 쇼와이나 아니 배다 동침부 딜리 경치와라 매가 레벨에서.
In short, all the conditions necessary are present. Failure to practice is a personal failure to practice. It's not as though we were donkeys hearing the Dharma. We are intelligent human beings able to distinguish between the Dharma and that which is not the Dharma. A donkey may be exposed to the words of the Dharma, but has no intelligence to form any understanding of the Dharma. We are not in such a situation. Our failure is a failure to practice. Otherwise, the conditions are present for us. The conditions are present for us. The teachings of the Buddha are present to us. Teachers who would provide instruction in the Dharma are present to us. Wasting this opportunity would be our personal wasting of the opportunity. And then we'd ask, is it a shame? Is it a shame or is it not that we have? It would be as though we had the opportunity and began an excellent education, and then we lost that opportunity. And we would, in that situation, recognize that this is indeed a loss, this opportunity at an education. But here, the opportunity that we are presented with a precious human rebirth is all the more valuable.
that in the Sanji Sunga Luna ten Tuba, Luna ten each ever, I mean, I'm going Luna ten Juzin Samotang, 롱라 때는 이제 재미 냐면 제야 근데 여다 롱그 맛에 리베장 태버레스 리버 그 균생 롱 송바서 맛에 tel라 균생 여바리 균생 여바디 아니 배 리베 토너스 사무타만 싱그레스 오 디셰가 탄달라 아니 다 가리시가 없으나 디 오마데 계지 찍지 디 네, 세라서 계지 찍지 디베장 제반나네 내주나 통면 코와 사기기 된루면도 찌면 그 스타 요데 좀 외고는 스타 누구를 손
So is the scriptural support, and when the scriptural support causes faith and conviction, then this is the one advantage paired with the advantage too of that which is logically demonstrable. And here too we find our support that indicates that it is logical to thus this 21st verse. If through the evil action of a single instant I must spend an eon in the hell of unrelenting pain, the evils in samsara stored from time without beginning, no need to say that they will keep me from the state of bliss.
수수 삼노탄이 비제 셰베 보네 아니 다 수수 냠면 시탄 셰바다 아니 냠면 치 고바다 다 되게 제시 제가 요래 되게 인디 좀다 즉 당보되기 아니 기직 직체 디베 짱 그다 기직 세대 당보 기직 뭐 시험을 해서 기직 세대 모두 뒤진 기직 제시 자단들 아니 배제난 제시 자단들 디징 시험을 했다 기직 세대라 만족이 다 기직 참고 다 기직 라과세 기직 인식을 해서
Thought, thinking by reason, informs us how we would practice and how we must practice. The first word of the first line of verse 21. If through the evil action of a single instant, here then we are talking about instants, moments, and moments are longer and shorter.
세상 다 당보 이직을 민카다 그래서나 지글 today 기직 마스 지글 자조 기직 마스 그래서
자조기 기지마.
자조 기직 지글 today 기직 마 어디 일에 해서
Now, an instant is of two kinds: the instant of the completion of an event and the instant of a passing moment.
근데 인도 다 당보 today 기직 마스나 기직 마 참고 아주 미다 세미다 받세 기직 마 됐다 기직 마 참고들 해서 다 자조지 기직 마스를 말한도 기직 마 라바들 해서
The instant that is the passing of a moment is the subtler. Grosser is the instant that is the completion of an event.
다 알레 today 기직 마도 뭐 참고 인자는 알레 대샤 고투스 지시제 우리가 삼만 보여서 다 단단하고 자조게 기직 마스게 되가다 냠내 제 지시제가 요래서
That subtler of the two, the instant that is the passing of a moment, we will leave for now as it requires considerable explanation, and turn our attention to the instant that is the completion of an event.
땅아도 자조게 기직 마스게 되라 뒤저 링쇼니 뒤저 통쇼바도 뒤저 라바도 뒤저 통쇼바도 찍어래서
Now, in the instant of the completion of an event, that is a measure that may be a measure of a longer span of time, all the way to the shortest span of time.
뒤저 링보도 개체지 개바직 세대야 자조 기직만 찍나 찍어래서
For instance, an age or an eon is a instant of the completion of an event of the longest, rather longer sort.
야, 다른 수 요나 메시직 로직스에 대한 자도 기준을 또 연구를 해서.
To shorten the span, then, a lifetime too is an instant of the completion of an event. So is a year.
야, 다른 나와직 든라직 이마직 주주직 대양 자도 기준을 또 샤워를 해서.
And so are months and weeks and days and hours instants that are the instant of the completion of an event.
야, 다른 수 통한 까마직 세겐직 대한 자도 기준을 샤워를 해서.
And shorter still, the instant that is the completion of an event of the minute or of the second too. These are.
야, 다 제단다 세겐직 가르쳐직 당 아니 까마직의 자도 기준에다 통다직을 해서.
In the instant that is the passing of an event, the shortest span is the second in the minute.
야, 자도 기준만 세대 주주 딜라 자와직 조야 주주 요바인단 자도 기준만. 주주 딜라 자와직 고중 중 조야 주주 요바인단 자도 기준만.
And so it is an instant that is the completion of an event, for it is the measure of the beginning and to the end of the event.
야, 다들 가능한 체력이 돈에 주주 고식 잡아와. 다 가능한 빼져나가도 빼셔야 돼 가스나. 먼저 기부터부터 된 것이가 아동 잡아. 먼저 아동 잡아 직접 엔데 생구다. 기부 수부터 된 것이가 또 생구 잡아 주주도 딜라 자조지 기준에 통다지 채샤요. 그래서
Now, seconds and minutes are measures in science. We find too measures of the time of a yan and the time of the snapping of a finger.
이제서 자조지 기준에 통다지 수도 니샤 채리샤 기부 류 당나요 미지기 딜라다 자조지 기준만 직 통수직이 그래서.
Now, in these texts, then a healthy person who snaps that the amount of time in that snap is the shortest instant of the completion of an event.
야, 다 제자다 기준만 뭐신 말해서 기준만 생각다 기준만 통수기 뭔지 제네 아니 기준만 튼뒤 된데 찍라 아니 디바 제베 장사 지 담보데 되시 되래서.
So then this is the measure of the shortest span of time that is an instant of the completion of an event. This is intended here in the line, if through the evil action of a single instant, it is this instant.
야, 기지 찍이 디바 제발라 때네 아니 녀와 나네 생애들 비게바 버드네 그거 유연하스 아니 먼저 다서 거 통화해 봐는 사베 디바 배 하장 또 친구 요래 가르치니 된돌을 끼기 말이 내돌을 끼기래 지워디래 딜을 렌자 보고 요래 소시.
If through the evil action of a single instant I must spend an eon in the hell of unrelenting pain,
다 제단 기지 되게 두지 찍라 이거 제발라 때니 아니 그게 녀송도 깨 녀와 깨 되게 용고 유연하스 아니 만들어 다 통화해 봐는 사베 니모다 니모 되게 샤베래 또 그거 되게 요래 가르치니다 녀와 녀로 녀송도 마게야다 데돌을 줘야게 아니 자기 가야면도 와스다 녀송을 깨야만 데돌을 줘야게 랑가면도 와스 가서 먼저 디봇 없이인데 만도 여러 와서.
when a single instant ensures an eon in the hell of unrelenting pain, then for us who have since beginningless time in samsara, by the great force of our klesha, continually accumulated negative karmas, why would it be conceivable that there be an alternative apart from rebirth in hell realms? Why would it be imaginable that we might achieve a fortunate rebirth.
당연히 리버티기 이 때부터 좀 들려지만 시기 드린 거 두대 샤기 리버티 다 삼었다 고다 수수 삼었다 수수기 다 레다 니모 수수 셈을 요서를 요서 말을 이해나 아니 다 그냥 손도 지기래 대로를 도구 말을 삼박이 윤세 가진의 대로를 맞이하기 윤세직 그냥 손도 깨외 윤세직 수수 삼었다 아니 맞지 들려지만 지시 잡초지 그런 것도 양 되거든 샘도 샘중을 공개하게 더 샘중 원시하지 그거든 대수 뭐를 지쳐가지
And I will provide more to clarify this further next week. Here you have enough to reflect on if you were to consider, are there karma and klesha in my mind or not? If there are, then assured is birth into a hell realm. Unlikely would it be that I achieve a fortunate rebirth. This you would consider. And please allow me to elaborate more on this next week. Now we turn to the mind and mental factors for a continued introduction to this topic.
yeah, 당하고 제가 시에서 공동하더니 다 당부 쌤 서로 생겼다. 좀 다 모두 다른 것도 제대로 서로 와서 다 나눠서 가들 내 먼저라 용해야 되나 대화도 동에 바로 숨으래. 다 디나는 조 가지고 삼로 당사티 대화도 동에이나 삼로 당거. 일단 대화도 동에 스니디 다 서로서는 심중 소화 내 대화 간데 서고 있는 동해 간데 서고 있는 내가 징해디 다 소화가 하나도 내 개와 제발 때는 뒤부 좀 그래. 이 대화를 이 소화 대화이 뭐 서로에서는 소화 대화가 서고 제부 달 내다 니모기 왕기 달 내다 니모지 우산지 말다 빨라 내다 니모 왕기 샤베 내티기 왕기 제부 동해 뭐 제부 동해 노 수용 것은 동해디 노 아니 레기 기디기 제수 저음해봐 레 로마땡이 제수 제베기 소화되라 소화 파마스 어쨌든 소화 수수게 더네 대두게 남샤 용만용디 소화 대화리 두다 동해 두고 다니디 다 소화가 또 해서
Last week, we continued with the introduction to the omnipresent or continuous mental factors, exploring feeling, an introduction to the mental factor of feeling. Feeling, that is the experience of a sensation that is pleasant and the experience of a sensation that is unpleasant, or the experience of a sensation that is neither pleasant nor unpleasant. These are the tonalities experienced by the mental factor feeling. Now, mainly relevant to us are pleasure and displeasure as experienced by the mental factor feeling. When there are experiences of pleasure and displeasure, what is it that experiences pleasure and displeasure? It is the faculty, rather, it is the mental factor feeling that experiences pleasure and displeasure. Virtues cause results that are pleasure, and those results are experienced by feeling, the mental factor. And klesha, that cause negative karmas, which cause results that are pain or displeasure, are experienced by the mental factor feeling.
yeah, that's 제가 되게 인디 당하나도 소화 대화도 위에 생인디 아니 가리도 용어스나 레기도 한다 레디 하나도 수불을 별롱도지 포는데 소화 기부를 송수네 대양 레기도 송하다 마란조가 찍고 들어오다 되는 직 소화 마대에 용하게 백경 친주 가지고 이번에 대양 레기도 용어를 쓰나 소와 대두 생각에 레기 또 된거를 해서
Dani, pe, ni badi, kare sumai.
다시 몰라 빼는 것도 자, 사마로 속에 동해지 뭐 있나요? 그 레기 또 연구를 해서 네, 춘주 사마 속에 동해지 뭐 있나요? 그 레기 또 연구를 해서
Pleasure and displeasure that is experienced by feeling is experienced by the force of negative karma. In all cases, even the slightest pleasure, such as a momentary relief from fever provided by a breeze, a cool breeze for a moment, this cool breeze and the pleasure it causes arises from karmas. No matter how small the experience, it has its cause in karmas. For instance, being pricked by a thorn, this too has its cause in a previous karma.
대화 친구들 동해 친구 소와 대화 친구 동해 친구들은 또 이해가 와서 춘주는 별로 이해가 있나? 친구들 이해가지 다 이해가 해서
Now, this is all together and all the more true of the greater pleasures and displeasures. When the smaller pleasures and displeasures are necessarily caused by karmas, then certainly the greater pleasures and displeasures.
다 소와 대화 생기디 다 소와 대화 생기 용도 좀 용단 간디죠 다 소화기 반에 그 레디다 체용도 좀그 유지다 체용도 아니 재민도 봐 거다 마트와 탑시체 재민도 봐 야요 톱을 체기 소화 대 삼바 용도나 소화 대화 용도를 해서
Experiencing a pleasant sensation. How does it work that it is the experience of a pleasant sensation? It works in such a way that meeting the object, encountering the object that causes the pleasant sensation is the inclination not to be parted from the cause of that pleasant sensation, or if parted, to reconnect with the cause of the pleasant sensation.
딱 동해도 되는 바 잡초 딱 동해도 유대다 채바나 채월 되봐 콜로 유대 채바나라는 집보다 남자 총보다 콜 채월 되봐 총소나 소와 동해 용거를 해서
The same applies to the experience of a unpleasant sensation. When this is experienced, the inclination is to be separated, to separate oneself from the object that causes the displeasure. When fear and terror arises, it is for the separation from the cause of displeasure.
이파 소와 대화도 동해도 뭐도 사도 아니 기대도 저 밤마저 저 밤마디 이니가 죽어미 되베 레진 다가도 삼당 센들이 삼당이지라 소와 따님스라 그래서
Ale juba deni juba mi dube juba mi dube
제벌 되었다 주파 덴버 된게 소와 가야 매버 데데도 주고 미 되버 진데 실 등이 저와 딜라 소와 따님 나다
the neutral feeling, the feeling that is neither of pleasure or displeasure. This is a experience without any inclination toward or away from any given object. It is neutral regarding the object that is neither pleasant nor unpleasant.
아주 기분만 지도다 나는 이제나 소와 대도 다녔습니다. 다만 연구였다. 나는 니만 주주도 까만까만 연구였어요. 연구 잡아 아니 수수 소와 때때들이 오다 더 연구 동행 연습 하거나 아니 수수기 직하게 미세기 자샤이나 냠내진이 있는 강을 판도치 요래서
Now, as pleasant and unpleasant sensations are arising continually all day long, every hour, every minute, if we are able to identify here a pleasant sensation, here an unpleasant sensation, we are to understand the arising of pleasant sensation and unpleasant sensation, then in our daily activities, these are available for informing a practice.
딱그 이번 뒤시들이야 다 모두 뒤시들 그런 뒤시자도 원시 고지가 저 뒤시다 이시 고지가 저 뒤시 니디 하고 도와서
누기 원시죠.
Luigi Luang, Luigi Lucia dans on sait c'est n'est que Lucia dans ici.
No.
C'est n'est que tal quand Luigi projet là, on bon là Luigi projet de chi on bon là droit. On bon là que corde là 중에 소화당 아니 남 샘 corde 중에 소화니.
서로 야만은 두시.
아, 소화만
두시. No.
소화당이 고졌다.
맞습니다. And in the mental factor of discrimination from last week, there is discrimination as mental factor that accompanies a physical sensation, and discrimination that is the mental factor that accompanies mental consciousness. Again, that is discrimination that accompanies physical regarding the discrimination accompanies primary consciousnesses that are sensory consciousnesses, and discrimination that accompanies mental consciousness. The sensory consciousnesses are those consciousnesses that are derived from the sense faculties, and mental consciousness is the inward faculty. Excuse me for one moment.
Voy a estar de 7 la te para donna chuyo. Megi tu de rabo de shit. Na onbonga yo onbonga de rabo de shenga. Ani yigi tu de rabo de on che de shit troops ni chagre so.
Sum together, there are 6 discriminations. The 5 discriminations that do accompany the primary consciousnesses that are sensory, derived from the sense faculties, and the 6th discrimination that accompanies mental primary consciousness, that is mental consciousness.
Oh yeah, that man the criteria were subject to
Now we turn to the third omnipresent mental factor, intention.
Oh yeah, that's the simju semba sing the simju abdu na jigna ta laga ma sho chini semgi be corona ne be cor zo de chagi yore so.
Now this intention is, of the 51 mental factors, the most active mental factor, always present and relevant in the primary consciousnesses.
Oh yeah, simju sem ke bo yul ju ju ni sem de yu pa zu jig le ju ni le ju su le ju ya ma ju ka zu ju gu yu ne ju ye de pa ju ju ni de de ani simju semba de so.
Intention is the mental factor that causes the engagement of the mind with a given object, with one object, a second object, and a third object. The mental factor that causes the engagement of a consciousness with an object is intention.
오야 다 심중 삼바디 모두 배전한 가래 샤샤스나 랑당 총대지 셈 랑 수주고 지나는 당에 주고 수주 정하나도 네 랑당 총대지 셈 유了又是过前边呢셈中셈죠 过前边的中文的셈中说的这跟我这种的瞎说 Yes,
No.
the
The defining characteristic of intention is or rather the definition of intention is the mental factor which is the inclination and direction of a mind to its object.
Oh, yes, you samba single that
This introduction by definition of the intention you ought to reflect upon and understand.
Oh, yeah, that's somebody best. Do kablenji cha yor cheba tar sem jung kan yang yula jubal chebe na sem jung yula jubal chebe sem jung di tu yimba song so sa do kablenji cha ngarja
No, ngarja
do penas do
semshina
Pena do kablenji cha je yo cheba tar.
Simile given to illustrate intention is of a magnet that moves filings.
Oh, yes, do kablenji cha ngarja de cha ko yama timade ko kali pengu yima kali chigi yonaji semju semba degi ani semdi yu kawala jugudo yu majuba chugudo juba chugudo kawa jugudo yama chigodo ko chigi yore sonos.
Just as a magnet moved about pulls upon the filings, so intention pulls the mind toward its various objects.
Oh, yes, that's all an allo design karizona. Sembele dan sambele signore sonos. Oh. Sembele
No,
diserva.
this sembele dan sambele giver.
Oh, sembele sdu and dire dan nang ishi tone like sem tone sem korang tone sabe lejerwa. Ila sembele salam sema sembele. 다 셈티 원 lungal ba thanye ko le sai wa lu da nga ji ko ne le sa du sambe le o de le ni yo le so
Intention is of two kinds. The intention that is mental intention and the intention that is action. The mental intention is that is the inner mental faculty that engages in action. And the intention that is engaged through body and speech, this is this is intention that is action.
Oh yeah, that thing later sambe le da sambe le sing dan da de shi test or thing of the to ya to shi chaga de jama ke biches that thing of the alexander de shan ani ta ke je chi ko ya yo ba chi se ani ta the se wo me ba ni che to ba yo ba sum di ani ma the test de ma to long chi wo sum.
Now these require more filling in, and we will do that later. We'll conclude here, and if there are any questions, then the questions. If there's anything that isn't clear, then we'll deal with what isn't clear, and if there are any doubts, then we deal with the doubts in a discussion of Q&A now.
Oh yeah.
Now let's hear it.
예서 제기.
Thank you, Geshe-la. Just a quick question. I was not very clear. If Geshe-la would explain for me a bit more. And this is about the action committed in a single moment. And there are two types. One is instant of a completion of an event. And that, I understand that it's from beginning to completion of that event, and that could be as long as eons or as short as a snap of the fingers. And I was not clear what it is, how that's different, or what is the meaning of instant of passing of an event, or an instant of a passing moment.
Last this was the cancer in the river. Do check David and the Kijima. Do David Kijima. Down and the Jawas over Kijima. The Nigi Kibar and the Raxum goes to answer. The and the Jawas over Kijima, said it, and the Ringshu do rapidly and Ringshu and the Gawachik, and the Tunshu and the Settle Daba did the and the Rington. Then the David do, even do David, do David and the Kijima. The turned up down cable disabled chambers. But it's done the and the Kijima Manda Niro and the Rapadam
to David Mada
to
take
to take. Hallelujah.
to David Mada to Tama Kijima Tama Teresa Mada. On the Midapa said Jorwa, Kijima said, or dig it to share it. Kijima Midapa, Kijima said, to Tama
No.
Tama Kijima, today Kijima, to David Kijimana. And this all to share.
It isn't the second isn't the instant that is the passing moment. It is the instant that is the final moment. When we speak of impermanence, it's the instant that is the final moment.
Oh, today Kijima is doing time to go shake Javana, to do the Modu Chavana. I think on the two Tonshu Jiva. Today Kijima is the symbol of the Dua. Villa Chasumja Tuju Pache. Sasumja Tuju Cheni. And it's Chachigla. And today Kijima says, or response.
That shortest moment that is the instant of the completion of an event, the snapping of a finger, if that is divided again into 360 parts, that last moment, rather the shortest moment within that division, this is the instant that is the final moment.
Oh, that's modern say to you not to better. Today Kijima singing and the cause and chism the Jason Kissy your Kissy how you are and Chissy you are or Dinica today Kijima shower.
Now the presentation goes indicating that the instant that is the final moment is the moment of birth and the moment of death. These are instances of it.
Oh, that's not it to you. Give us and sure to the Mangan to Swanala, to the music, what I was she wrote to Taco Gesha to the Ringo to us. To the morning, they today is in my response.
Now we tend to protract what we imagine to be birth and to be death, but birth and death is that instant that is the instant that is the final moment.
가르스는 아주 파치두두 우 파땅 수땅 리버루들라 툭질라 우 파땅 수마요나 사사르스 치시 좀 사르스 나한테 우 파땅다당 주들라 아니 기니 우디 바트니 마잉에도 예삼 잘수나 아니 계시 좀 사르스
So the Karisa Amegi the Kiawati Gandis Jargare Kiawa.
계와디 바트니 마잉에도 예삼 잘도 예삼 잘도 아니 계와도 거래서
No, the number shape of the
마잉에도 쇼루라
my
쇼루데 예삼 잘도 아니 계와도 거래서
and the moment that consciousness encounters the womb of the mother, then that is the moment of birth, that moment. And when one breathes in and out, and then breathes out the last time and fails to inhale again, this is the moment of death.
치워라 남치 님에 치워라 라마메바 예버 치워 남치 님에 어디에 삼로 땅도 좀 많이 치워졌다 삼로 14호 땅도 치워졌다 되게지 뭐 이거 삼로 땅으로 해서
The imminence of death, imminent death, but the uncertainty of the time of death, these reflections are of a moment that is an instant, that is the final moment. The moment of death that is certain to come, against which we have no power. Speaking of the moment of death, it is this instant of the final moment. Then that addresses this question.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are
there others? If not, then I'll go ahead with the book.
Yeah.
Okay, so if it's most likely we're not going to get to the human after we leave this life. I mean, I'm just like a household regular person, so where are we going next?
Then the Miguel Luton younger Kawayana, then Yina, and they meet Tamaba, and then Nana did again, Drawayana, cover, and a Drosa cover drawer. Then the Naragi needs a draw down the Pedigero down Chok Mare, and the Tagats, and the Nana did again, Drawa, and the Nedrosa carriages, Gandashiris.
But massive was done
You asked the extraordinary sort of question.
Oh, yeah, that Chirangi, when Hegi Chirang, the shit Java enough. Chirang, deal the shit Java Yuna. And it Chirang, the G Chimbuchita, the G Chunji, Tamate, Chirang, at least the make Samatangi in the Esso.
Now, if I were to respond, and if I must respond to such a question, just consider the alternative: a great contentment or a lesser contentment. In any case, what do you choose?
Oh, yes, that they induce. Says that I'm around so Tala Milu to kid it that Jawachima Tenjo Tobe chip the train Yamin Chores. 최념내 맞이는 미지디 졸라침바레스 뜻이 겹사대 손지.
No. If human rebirth is precious with the leisures and endowments, and having achieved one may practice or may not. I have said this once already.
야, 다 그냥 막 공부 찍자다. 다 공부 니바도 자, 저랑 다다 저랑 얘기 미지 집을 잡 초조 민둑 삼에 삼바 대당 아니 저랑 뭐뭐니데 가르쳐 와래. 저랑 삼스 말 렌트 나서.
Now take the next step then. You've said it's not as though a great transformation is going to occur in my life right now. And then consider your future lives.
저랑 다들 삼는다는 유족. 아니 다들 저랑 초 얘기 미지 집을 잡 숙자 말에 세기. 저랑 미지 제 대당 저랑 뭐봐. 저랑 다 그게 디지 요한 니부들 저랑 삼 집을 잡혀야지. 그래 요 말에서.
Now that thought that no great transformation is likely in this life now, and the reflection on the possibility of great contentment in the future, can you conceive of shaking things up?
야, 다 되죠. 다 내가 한번 이바들 당다. 다 저랑기 거기 다다 치마다 밀루디 배줬다는 치마 때 밀루 토바 대조 그 밀루 토바 생애니 고유여래. 이 치도라 아니 저랑다 간다 삼로 땅다 이 차에서 예송하지. 다 삼로 당부디 다 세디기 또그 담숨 차상로 땅내 아니 최냐매 제바이나 다디 차상 개는 유족 인지게다 무슨 개런디 차상 유족이 냐매데 레스 다디 마인베 토네야 냐매 지투야 직 가리여스나 이대기 자와디 또 다들 저랑 제부 작업을 써나 제부 야 먹을 토네 양 최체하다 루토백에 나가 직송요 해서
인자 축복 되는 차선 간지
가는
간지 축복 잡을 차선 아니 길 가보면서
저랑 최냐매 제저와 다 이거는 다 미지디 배제당이랑 다 밀루 토바디 유지 사고래서 납사로와 다 사도 당부디 랑 세디기 또고 땅수 사람로 땅내 최제하게 나가지 요래스 지사선 야 세디기 또고 땅숨나 그게 벨로 마다 나양 지금 물류 도야게 냐매체 고급지 요래스
but as I've said previously, the achievement of the present life comes from the causes that have been accumulated, and from this, with the causes accumulated and the precious human birth of yours now, there is a path of practice available wherein you make a full sacrifice of clothing and accommodations and reputation, dispensing with it all. And then there's another available too, in which you haven't got to do all of them.
세상다 아주까지 거기 강을 최시에 찾아 나라야 시차 가르사 말한도 최지단대로야다 거기 또그 담수 지dengi 담땅의 미실로 땅의 배 리레치는 공기함이 야면시하게 남다르지 요래 뒤는 행어도 제 고급다 지투야 요래스 딱 계속 뒤 맞이가 이나 양 아니 지도 나라 되네 양배 추창주 선장 아니 동의답에 따와라 장 아니 대대 체네 아니 당이 소소놈 싸네 아니 거기 나가 대조 토베 대한 요래서
Now, as I've said before, abandoning the desire for a reputation, for food and housing, dispensing with all of that and going into the mountains, into retreat and meditating, and we know of this practice from the accounts of those who've done practice in this way. Then for those who do not do that, though we could do that, for those who do not, nevertheless, in the ordinary social world, one can continue to meditate upon bodhicitta and the view of emptiness, and by doing so, accumulate that autonomy for the precious human rebirth.
Oh, yeah, that did she ta yinga to gang la xia ge da chuo ge xi dan pa zu dang si. Ta de xi de ba chuo ge nyam le ma de chuo de wa de dong ye de xi ta ne ge yin ba. Oh, xie zan de nan xin. Ta ma rang zo kan da mizi su zu mizi ge na cha xia ka ri che ba yin na yang. 别那么就记住下去学一百以内，这数数到你们个两年前一百以内，这俺们看的几个有为呢，高速的脚吧，看的几个人呢，脚吧的你们家的有了马路啊，你们家呀有了高土啊的穷啊，俺们两年差个有的什么子。
Bring in the discussion of feeling, of the sensation, the feeling of pleasure and displeasure, and have it inform the means available in the world, whatever your occupation, whatever your activities ordinarily are, whether it's some form of social service or your daily practice, whatever it is, that the every activity in no event ever becomes cause for the increase of the klesha, and is always only cause for the final annulment of all klesha.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. The Georgia Nation, Nation, Dibasha Batang, in Botopsi, Dibasha Batang, Jesu Yeran, the more Sumbuti, any Jomde Masundu, Sonsa de Jebu Segel Songa, Jebu Segel, Kari Sugarsna, Ma, Jebu, Jesi, Jong Shimbegan, Jesi Lutan Mogo, Tone, Church has Naro Nans, Yashua did it. Ma dil land la ta chirang ji ti na tigre chirang gi shagwa che jesu iran che ngo sum de nyamne chi sho ne di dirwa odi nyamne di da manjora su su nyamne chi di che yoro was da di nyamne di chi shem chi wo heso.
And in the presentation of confession, the confession that follows from the application of the antidote powers, and that in that form of confession and in rejoicing and in dedication, that the Buddha Bhagavan gave these to the king when the king asked, what is available to me when I cannot abandon my kingdom? What might I do? The Buddha Bhagavan said, you may practice confession and rejoicing and dedication, and any person is able to practice it.
Oh, it's that this will be up with Chevena. There's something also Chituguri, Chitu, Chena, Gawa, Top Chimbore. Oh, Top Chimbo Yimbenane, and a coke and that Jomletic Sumbegita, Choji Bakandama, Sumbo, Jomletic Chichova now, Kimbala, Joy Kimbala now, Church now, that they do the Yamleti Chishimbaina, and that Kandar. And Yamlen said the Temper 6 Chagi or Resons.
Now, if one practice is informed in this way, one accumulates tremendous virtues, and this is the permission. The permission came from the Buddha Bhagavan to practice in this way. This is designed for the ordinary person. And if one comprehends that, then one is able to practice these. Now, speaking in this way, does this help to redirect your thought at all? Oh, if there's no redirection, then there could be that moment where you think, oh, there's no hope at all. So there mustn't ever be any moment where you finally close that door. And wherever there's a means, everywhere there is the means for practice.
다시는 여기다 수제가 돼서 Yeah.
So for those of us who have sufficient leisures and endowments and a strong desire to accumulate autonomy for continued rebirths that are conducive to the ultimate goal of Buddhahood, but yet in this lifetime, even with that strong determination, some decent level of activities in that direction, on the day-to-day, it's still sort of stymied by our kleshas, for not necessarily creating lots of new big bad negative karmas, but more just not maximizing the level of practice we could be doing. What is the best practice for householders for removing those kleshas? Like the desire is there, the conditions are there, some level of practice is there, but like in the day-to-day, there's still this clouding that I think it feels, just klesha-ish.
That's the Dajor and the Tandebe, me Lutin, Topkin, and the Mother Ravayanayan, and that Mazalani Debadan, and the Sunju, Asobadende, and the Yobache, and the Sonam Saya La Paysan Yanche de Yobache. That then the Sama and the Tunkin Zombo. 아니 여바제 드라만다 아니 땡긴 아니 잠보 덴데 아니 여베 여나양 이 여나양 아니 니마다 바 아니 녀몽기 왕기 데 셈디테스 아니 뭄바 야마나 뭄바라고 틱네 야마나 데 살라마살라 덴다고 차네 아니 녀몽데 소소기 녀몽기 왕기 아니 틱벨레 아니 첨보 시부지 근데 제 매나양 아니 녀몽 된서 트라마게 가드 연나양 걔네기 걔네 근데 걔기 아니 데 멤베 나라 투 데베 네츠 데라 야메 데네 타르기 아니 탑람 가르요레 써보셨어요
아니 유모도 만도 셈 보고 인버레 손으로 셈다 배 유림 티베 도보는 콜 셈 도보도 차대요 레스 달레 겨워스이디 거기 셈베기 달 도보 사바도 차대요 제가 셈나는 남상 먼저 제부 잡초도지 요마레 손으로
The kleshas are old friends, and the new virtuous mindsets are begin unfamiliar to us.
로야 세상에 이제 도보 싸워디 남상 지초조 요마레 도보님보다 육초조 요마레 손시
Then it's not easy to simply discard the old friendship and draw the new friend close.
오야 도보 싸워디 디고레스 디니 고 쮸바 거기 그랑아 팬토바다 콜은 연대도 통네 나도 셈스 디고레스 도보님보다 디고나 싸워디 디 아니 도보 싸워디기 가로 셈 네버 차도 아니 도보님보다 견이 동그래 손시
Then one consorts with that new virtuous mindset that would be the friend, so that through nearness for a time, the benefits and advantages of that friendship become increasingly apparent. As those advantages become increasingly apparent, the closeness becomes increasingly real, and then the disadvantages, the drawbacks of that mean friendship of the past become more evident.
그래서 딱 한달 하게 간다 도보 사바디 랑라 디니 아니 그 뇽한테 먹고 왔어 뇽한테 다 도보 사와스를 간다 다 잠바다 닝지도 돈이 또 싫었다 아니 저 도보 닝바스를 안진다 단진다 어떤데 란친지 좀 저거 도보 닝바 차대요레스 어디게 가다 신진진다 아니 장주점다 또 다음에 또 배셔로도 막 도고 싸워 돼요. 제가 다 먼저 도고 싸워를 지구를 도고님보다 제국이요 레송으로지.
Then draw the new friend closer, the mind that cherishes others closer, bodhicitta closer, compassion closer, and see clearly the disadvantages of that pathology of self-love, of self-grasping, and doing this, continue to draw the new friend closer and begin to part ways with the kleshas.
예. 그래서 쌤이 제일했습니다. 쌤이 유대 그래서나 요 공부해야 돼. 공부. 쌤은 가지고 공부해나야 아니 콜렉트 쌤 간다 쌤 공차나 아니 강에 가면 가리는 지투게요. 쌤은 공내나 가야 지마투가. that's 쌤이 유대를 해서
So the hallmark of the mind is its sensitivity or its plasticity, its adaptability to anything. With exposure, it becomes newly sensitized.
예. 그래서 공부 그 유대인이 한다 신제 유대되게 대신 도고 싸워되게 있으면 야볼 뒤우지 겁나 아니 고강에 매우 제투 그랬어. 도구님과도 고만나시 집에 제투고로 단단한 좀 마콘 바랬어. 도구님과도 당한 좀 셈나는 망고 진 곰대외이자 당한 좀 람산 제위 제투에 요 말에 이는 준주체는 니마직지 니체는 제투에 누가 요래서
This quality of the mind, the hallmark of the mind, its plasticity, its sensitivity, means that the old friendship from repeated exposure has shaped the mind, and it is difficult to reshape it. Nevertheless, with different exposure, the plasticity means that it changes. And so then as one grows increasingly exposed to and accustomed to the closeness with the virtuous attitudes, then they will come to be as spontaneous in their arising as the negative attitudes are present.
예, 딱 나도 냠는 되는 시에나 쌤로 공부된 거래서 아니 공부 가르된 거래서나 아니 쌤로 공부디 다 도고 싸워되기 때문에 뭐신 거지 고주님도 뒤 고주로 공부된 거래서 도구님보디 아니 다 갈래 샤워 그래서 고 도구님보디 랑 도고 누가 차대요 랑 내버지지 도고 싸워되 랑 팬톤이 도고 차대요 그래서 팬톤이도 뇌징이 지부자래 손지.
So in short, what you must do is expose and re-expose the mind to introduce it to and re-expose it to the virtuous mind sets and outlooks. And you must gradually entirely leave behind the non-virtuous mindsets, the klesha, as they have proven to be so pernicious.
예, 제단다 간다도 그 쌤나 니만하고 공부된 그 니모기 초대 깨기도나 아오다 니모 초 깨수다서 뭐셔버지 과제도 니보 뭐셔버지 해드래 아니 계획 초대 아오다 이거 그 깨고다 깨는 편이 공부 편이 된지 지요 거기 배 라나 팽게르다 선배 다 라나 템베 초도 네베 초도 뭐셔버잖아 아니 당할 대화 보고이다 더 싸워도 보고이 아 눈에 보고면 저분님보다 여기 있어 비싸면 다 쳐야래 손.
So then each day you must expose the mind to the virtuous attitudes that you would inculcate. You must repeatedly expose and re-expose the mind. And when the kleshas arise, then you identify them and observe they have happened here. And continue to think, these are the virtues that I am after. These are the virtuous attitudes I would develop. I need to develop them and expose your mind to the recognition of their advantages. And then clearly distinguish between that which is disadvantageous and that which is advantageous, that which is harmful and that which is beneficial. And be decisive in finally putting behind you the mean friendship, and finally drawing near to the close friend. That is the daily practice, to practice in this way of repeatedly exposing the mind to gradually alter it. This is the daily practice, and we can conclude here. Now, to finally discard that mean friend, to finally draw near that good friend, we dedicate our closing prayer. So then our object here then in the closing prayers is to say, I wish for contentment, and that friend who ensures contentment, I will draw near. I wish never again to feel these discontents, and that friend, that bad non-friend that causes them, you must get out. And in this way we recite our closing prayers.
Rendo bele zoni kadara yamba kaji sabo lume mare jidon lowa ye nante jawe ongure da gireje derma sunbe seram kundu yang zangle yangi sewe jezone Debe rimbo kuzan langi jo, yene gobe gena nye jo. Rangi jishin tobe langi ne, shoja tsewe rawe tabi. Rowe yiji mungba seche ne, jawe temba yore se yore. Temba rinjen choge matyama, matyam nyamba yure chode. Ije temba yira keba ye, tege tejen sawa jeba shu. Seje gawe mejur chende, lendu chanju lange rende jang. Tade nange yila bedeje, gawe zeba lendu kyonje. Langsa dröbe nüge dröje, gege seje medam levenu. Seram kundu gawe namba beyi, namba landa dröba mayürje. Kaze dribo jolom sözümce. Rola tumba deyde, Tükde nange çadu kocece, Rashi yazo chungu From my two collections, vast is faith that I have amassed, from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds wish to mind blinded by ignorance. Even if I do not reach this state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all my life, my teachers. May I find the best of the path of complete teachings, and may I please all the Buddhas by practices. Using skillful means strong by the strong and compassion, may I clear the darkness in the minds of all beings, with the points of the path as I discern them. May I uphold Buddha's teaching for a very long time. With my heart going out with great compassion, in whatever direction most precious teaching have not yet spread, and once spread have declined. May I offer this treasure of happiness to aid all sentient beings. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be advanced in grandiose peace, and the Buddha's deeds be nourished for a long time by following the complete graduated path of enlightenment and the wondrous virtuous conduct of the Buddhas and their sons. May all human and non-human beings have eliminated adversity and make things conducive for practicing the excellent paths, never be parted in any of their lives from the purest path raised by the Buddhas. Whenever someone makes effort to act in accordance with the tenfold Mahayana virtuous practices, may he always be assisted by the mighty one, and may oceans of prosperity spread everywhere. Logi Chini Sabe Gewadi Tena
I dedicate whatever virtues I've ever collected for the benefit of the teachings and of sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of Venerable Gotama and Shantideva forever. In the land encircled by snowy mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful sinners existing guiltful, please remain until cyclic existence is ended. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra do, realize things as they are. Also, I dedicate all these merits in the best way, that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue, with the dedication praised as the best, by the victorious ghost God once 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva. May the supreme jewel of Bodhisattva that is not arisen, arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. Thank you and good night.
Krishna.